So welcome to Code Essentials KE, and today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to publish a shapefile to a Postgres database, and we are going to enable the PostGIS extension because by enabling it, that allows us to be able to publish the vector data or the shapefile as a table. So first of all, we need to head to Google Chrome, and we are going to search for PostgreSQL download. And now when it opens, you look for the link for Enterprise DB. You click on it, and then depending on the operating system that you are using, you can see we have Linux, and we also have macOS, and also we have Windows. So you look for the version that you want, maybe version 14. I'm using version 14, and then for me, I'm using Windows x86 64, and then I'm going to click on this one. So this one now will download the Postgres database to your machine, and now you will be able to access it. So I've already downloaded, and this is it. So I'm opening through pgadmin 4. pgadmin is just an interface whereby you can be able to access the database that you have actually installed. And during the installation, it will also ask you if you want to install the PostGIS shapefile importer or export manager. So this is the dialog that we are going to use to connect to our Postgres database through the connection, and then we are going to be able to publish the shapefile to the Postgres. So the first thing that we are going to do, now that you know how to configure, we are going to create a database. So you click on the databases, and then click create, and create a database. And mine, I'm going to call it villages DB, because the shapefile I'm going to publish is for villages in Kenya. And then you are going to click on save, wait for it to run, and now you will have the villages DB enabled. Yeah, you can expand it on the schemas, and then you can go to tables, and you realize that the tables are empty because we have just created a new database. Now the next step is to enable the extension. When you're installing the Postgres database, you'll have the option to also install the PostGIS extension. So that is the one that creates a link whereby you can be able to publish the vector geospatial data into Postgres in form of a table, whereby you can perform your queries and maybe use for another purposes. So we are going to head, we need to be in our villages DB, and then we are going to extensions, and then click on extension, and then click create extension, right? And now for the name, we are going to search PostGIS. You can see it is the third one. You click on it. You can add a comment if you want. I'm not going to add. Then click on save. So now we have a table. We have a database, but it does not have any tables, and we have the extension PostGIS that is enabled. So from our Postgres server, now the database is ready to accept the geospatial data. So now I'm going to use this dialog. You can also search. You can just say PostGIS, and you'll see this one, PostGIS bundle, shapefile, and DBF loader. So this one loads the shapefile together with the database file to the database, to the Postgres database. So I have it open. I'm going to click on it, and then the first step when you open the shapefile importer or export manager is to click the view connection details. And by viewing the connection details, you'll get a dialog whereby you are going to to enter your username. This is your username for the Postgres database or the server that is running. And then we also have the password. This one you are going to configure when you are first installing the server, and then you have it is running on localhost because it is running on my machine, and then the default port is 5432. This one will be default for most of the initial installation, but if you have different servers, you can maybe have like 5433, 5434. It depends with your configuration. And then the database. Now this is where I'm going to enter the database name that I just created, which is villages.db. You can see from the previous configuration I had a test database. You can actually see it from the pgadmin. So I'm going to delete the test and then say villages_db. So that is the database that I want to work with. Then click on OK, and you will see connection succeeded. So that is a success message. That means that now this dialog, this PostGIS shapefile importer, is now connected to your database. So now, which means that now I can be able to import the files. So I have my shape files from desktop, and then Kenya data. I double click, and then I head to the bottom, and we have the villages, we have the database file, the projections file, the spatial index, and also we have the S3 shapefile. So this is the one that you want to publish, but you have to also make sure that the other 5 files that come with the 4 other files that come with the shapefile have to be in the same directory or in the same folder, so that you won't have problems with maybe importing. So this is my directory. So now I'm going to click on import. Maybe you have been able to publish the data. You can use the export, and you see it says schema table, then the geo column, right? But we are not exporting, we are importing. We'll export in the next tutorial. And then for the importing, I'm going to click on add file, and then for adding file, now it opens now the file browser. I'm going to my desktop, then Kenya data, and then I'm heading to, I'll just look for villages. So villages.shapefile. So it only select the files with the SHP extension. So I'm going to click on villages.shapefile and click on open, right? So there is one thing that you need to change. So the geo column will be named geom. You can name it whatever you want, maybe geometry or maybe my geom. And the SRID, for now I'm going to use 4326, which is a global spatial reference system. And then the mode should be create. And then you have table. The table that will be created will be villages, and the schema will be public. So it will publish on the schemas, then public, then for the tables. You can see we have the tables from the server that is running. And then the next step, now that we have selected the shapefile that we are going to import, we are going to click on import. You can see it says working, and then at the bottom it says importing with configuration, and then it says shapefile import completed. So we can minimize this one, and we head back to pgadmin 4, which allows us to browse the databases that are in Postgres, and then we are going to refresh the tables, and now we can see the villages table has been created, and also there is also a spatial reference system. So this one is created by default by the PostGIS extension. Like this is the one that holds the simple metadata for PostGIS that allows us to be able to view the villages table. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click on view/edit data, and then all rows. So this way we are going to be able to view the data that has been added to our database, right? So we can actually see now the data is available. You can see from the data output, and this is a query that just ran. This is a SQL query, which is a select star from public.villages, because public is the schema, then order by the GID in the ascending manner. So you can run this if you want to filter data, or maybe limit data by, you can say limit by 10, and you'll get the first 10 rows in the table. So this is a spatial data. We have been able to import the shapefile into a database, which is a villages DB, and it has created a table which is villages, and this is the data. I can maximize on that. We can see we have the GID, we have the village name, vname, which is a character variant, and it has a maximum of 50, right? And also we have the geometry. So this is a geometry, like the location of that village. So now, also Postgres also has this functionality whereby you can be able to view the data on a map. Remember, we use the SRID of 4326 that allows us to be able to view data that has a latitude and a longitude. So you can actually see from our geometry viewer that is available by Postgres, we can be able to see the distribution of the villages in Kenya. You can see, you can actually click on one of them and you can see a pop-up, and it says the GID is a 234. The GID is auto-generated. This is like a primary key. It's like a unique key for each row in a table. And then we have the village name is Akatwan. So that is the name of the village. And with this data, you can be able to maybe access this data for other purposes. You can create an API that consumes this data, but for this tutorial we just examined how to download the Postgres server and configure it, create a database, add the extension PostGIS that allows us to be able to work with spatial data from Postgres, and then we use the shapefile importer, PostGIS shapefile importer, and then we published a shapefile, and that marks the end of this tutorial. See you in the next one. Thank you.